of what we're accomplishing. Slowly but surely we're getting there. But my daddy always taught me the slow way is the best way, because sometimes if it happened too fast you don't appreciate it. So I'm indeed indebted to the Lord. I'm very excited about the direction in Bible study as we hit these Beatitudes. I am challenging myself. I just want to grow spiritually. I'm just what I want. Have you ever gotten to the point you just want to be a better Christian? You know, that's where I'm at right now. I just want to, your pastor want to be better day by day. And I'm excited because these Beatitudes will teach us a character ethic. And oftentimes we can worship but not have character. And I'm going to talk about how the Beatitudes are the principles and the character of the Christian faith. And if you can adopt them into your life, it can bless you. And if you can't make it, that's fine. Just log in on the, you know how they got the thing, you know, log in on there and just come on with us. We're using the book Montgomery Boys, but I just want to give that highlight to you. It's going to bless us. But Genesis chapter 19. Oh, Genesis chapter 19. Yeah, we wait now. If you can't find Genesis, maybe the recovery ain't happened as good as I say. Genesis chapter 19. Verse 19. Your servants has found favor with you, and you have shown me great kindness in saving my life. But I cannot flee to the hills for fear the disaster will overtake me and die. Look, that city is near enough to flee, and it is a little one. Let me escape there. Is it not a little one, and my life will be saved? He said to him, very well, I grant you this favor too, and will not overthrow the city of that which you've spoken. But hurry, escape, therefore I can do nothing until you arrive there. Verse 20, the sun had risen on the earth when the lot came to Zoar. Then the Lord rained on Sodom and Gomorrah, sulfur and the fire from the Lord out of heaven, and he overthrew their cities and the plain and all the inhabitants of the city and what grew on the ground. Verse 26, here's where I'm going today. But Lot's wife behind him looked back, and she became a pillar of salt. Look at your neighbor and say, you made it out. Don't look back. You may be seated in the presence of the Lord. You made it out. Don't look back. I can depend, or I know that every time I get into the car, there's two arguments that I'm going to get into with my wife. The first one, she always complains that I drive too slow. Her and my children have developed a phrase calling me driving Miss Daisy. And I can't, you know, I don't know about them, but I obeyed the speed limits. I grew up in Camden. You get pulled over, that's dangerous. If the signs say 45, I'm doing 45. The other argument that I get in every time, and she says, will you adjust your side mirrors? Because she hates it because I never really adjust them correctly. And because I don't adjust them correctly, when I change lanes, I turn around, you know. Or I ask her, hey, look over there, see if there's any traffic on that. I see I have a few folk that did that for a time or two. And her concern is, Chad, if you are driving from the back, you have a tendency, or there's the chance that you can wreck the car, because cars were never driven for you to pay most attention what's behind you. Cars are driven for you to look out the front mirror and pay most of the time in what's in front of you. The problem is, I believe, and my humble assertion is, that many of us are not further in life, including myself, because we live life through the past. And because of this, we cannot become all God's called us to be or embrace what God is doing now because we're so imprisoned by what happened yesterday. Now, hear me. Now, I'm not suggesting in any way that we ought not learn from our past. That's not what I'm saying here. So I don't want you to go around and say that. No, but I'm saying you ought not live in your past. You see, that's my assertion. Now, this has been a biblical problem all throughout the biblical blueprint because if you recall, when God delivered Israel out of Egypt, every so often in the wilderness, they would make this statement and they would say, wouldn't it been better for us to die in Egypt? Have you bought graves out here for us in the wilderness? Why don't you take us back? And here's what they say. We had good food in Egypt. Now, isn't it funny how many of us would like to go back to a past, even though the past was oppressive? What they were saying was, I'd rather be slaved than be free in the wilderness. It even happened with the new church in Acts, and we studied it this year, and we had a good time doing it. But don't you recall that the church was fine until the new folk came in? And then when the Gentiles became a part of the church tried to stay static and stagnant and suggest that now everybody had to be circumcised. And that's when Paul raises up in Galatians and say, no. They don't have to be. Meaning that it's a tendency for the church to look in the past and stay stuck. Let me just put it right where we are in the first Sunday in 2017. Alpha, if we stay looking in the past, if we continue to look at the past without appreciating the now, then God will put you back into what you're looking at. And some of us, under the sound of my voice, including myself, have been through too much and been brought out of too much to keep looking back at what we've been brought out of. But every now and then you got to look ahead and say, forgetting these things which are behind me. Now let me just put this here. Some of the things that we need to not look back on are not pain problems. Some of the stuff we have to not look back on are our successes. Because sometimes you can make an idol of what you did good in the past, and now you can't do anything good now. Let me help you here. Around November, I told my wife, I said, now baby, we don't have to exchange gifts. I said, come on now, we good, honey. Come on now, this is our 24th Christmas. Let's just not do anything, and let's wait till all the sales come, and then we can go ahead. Y'all been there with me. We can go to Marshalls and TJ Maxx, and instead of getting one shirt, we can get 4 shirts. And she looked at me, she said, oh, the devil is a liar. No, she said, oh, no, don't you, what you did last Christmas does not hold you over to what you're going to do right now. Are you with me what I'm saying here? And all I'm suggesting is, just because we did good things in 2016, it does not mean that we rest on our laurels and not to continue to do what God wants us to do. Here's my humble assertion. My assertion this morning, that if you live life in front of you, God can take you places you've never dreamed. Let me say that again. If you focus on what God's doing now and value and appreciate it, God can take you places that you've never dreamed in your life. I love the book of Genesis. If you know me, Genesis is one of my favorite books because it's in Genesis where you get the foundation of the biblical blueprint. It's in Genesis where you see the patriarchs of our faith, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and through them become the nation of Israel. The reason why I like it, because if you miss Genesis, you'll always have questions as you read scripture. You see, it's almost like when I watched Godfather 2 and 3 with my wife, but she didn't watch Godfather 1, and the whole time in 2 and 3, she was asking me too many questions, you see, because sometimes for you to understand the total Bible, you have to start with the foundational principles. So when Paul is quoting Moses and quoting Isaac and Jacob, you have to understand he's using them because they are the foundational principle. Oh, I feel good this morning. What we see here in 19, you must jump back to 18 mean because we see the first time that intercessory prayer takes place. Don't you remember when the three angels didn't come to Lot first? They came to Abraham. And they came to Abraham first because they were about to destroy Sodom and everybody in there. But by the time Abraham got done talking with God, God decided that he was going to save Lot and his family. Y'all missed that there. Can I tell you why? I've got good news for you, that I'm thankful that people prayed for us while we were in our mess. See, I know you think people prayed for you when you got out of your mess, but I'm glad that there were some sanctified saints that had enough sanctified sense that while we were in the mess we were in, they said, Lord, before you deliver them, can you keep them? Y'all not gonna help me here. Alpha, I'd like to propose to you this morning that the reason why the doors are still open, the reason why we can come to church after what we've been through is not because how good we are, but I believe we had some folk that was calling on the name of the Lord. Is there anybody here that can testify that prayer still works? Is there anybody that can testify with Chad Hinson, the door was closed, but somebody got down on their knees and the effectual, fervent prayers of the righteous availeth much. If you want to do something on your to-do list in January, I dare you to pray more than you did last year, because little prayer has little power, but much prayer got much power. I feel a little prayer will turn. Yes, and so he prays, and now these three angels, the same angels that met with Abraham, are now making their way to deal with Lot. And the first reason why we ought not look back on our situation, first reason, is because in our pain, problem, and situation, we got comfortable in our carnality. Oh, I knew. The reason why we ought not glorify the past, especially the past that God has redeemed us from, is because while we were in it, we were comfortable in our carnality. 19:1, the two angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gateway of Sodom. He got comfortable because the gateway is now the official leadership of the town. It's at the gate where they enact the laws of the city. The problem is, Lot, you was never supposed to leave Abraham. Don't you remember? Lot and Abraham's men got into a little argument. And then he said to Lot, choose which way you want to go. And Lot said, I want to choose the way that looks best. And how many of you know the grass is not always greener? Well, I wish I had somebody help me now. You looking at that and thinking it's grass, you're going to get over there and find out there's weeds underneath the grass. So you might as well keep your grass. Oh, y'all not going to help me, Steph. Landscape your own grass, because you're going to get over there to that grass and you're going to say, this is just as dirty as what I left. And you remember, he leaves. And now he chooses Sodom, Sodomites, the arrogant place that promoted promiscuity, homosexuality, and the destroyed of the little people. And now Lot, who used to be walking with Abraham, who was a friend of God, now is in Sodom. And the things he used to stand against, he's now tolerating. Come on, help me, y'all. That's how sin works, you know. Sin doesn't start off big. Sin starts off small. And all it takes is just a little compromise. That's why, listen people, listen here, listen, single ladies, single brothers, don't compromise. If they can't come up to your standard, then go find somebody that will. Because if you compromise when you date for 6 months, you'll be compromised when you're married for 16 years. And so many of us are in the circumstance. Have you ever said this to yourself? I can't believe I allowed myself to put up with that foolishness. And here's how it started. It started when you didn't let him open the door. And now when he called you out your name, you looking stunned. But the devil is a liar. You should have stayed at the door till he opened it. Because if you stay at the door when he'll open it, he'll understand how you want him to treat you. Are you with me here? And Lot has now gotten comfortable. Listen, I know you work in places and you got to do what you got to do, baby. Don't get it twisted. But don't get comfortable with perverted conversation. Are you with me here? There's certain conversations that you ought never take place in. And if you got to walk away, then walk away. Because, watch this here. Many people go to jail not for committing a crime, but they're accomplice or complicit to it. They become complicit not because they did it, but they didn't stop it when it was being done. But the devil is a liar. If you want to talk about somebody in this church, we're going to talk about them, because I'm going to go get them and you're going to say it to their face, because we're going to get to the bottom. Look at your neighbor and say, you ain't getting me in trouble for your stuff. Devil is a liar. And that's why with your young folk, be careful who they hang with. No, hear me, y'all. Hear me, y'all. Hear me. Be careful who's driving them. I want to know who got the wheel tonight. Number one, you can't be driving with somebody that got some drugs on them. Because when the cop pull the car over, you're going to be in the same jail as him with the drug. So you got to check who's driving the car. Are you with me here? Let me be honest. I want to check this year who I'm hanging with. If I'm still hanging with folk that ain't gonna do nothing, ain't gonna be nothing, gonna keep complaining over nothing, keep talking about everybody, the devil is a liar. I need to hang with some folk that's gonna speak life into you, speak some power into you. Is there anybody here that can testify you need some new crew? And now watch this here. Watch this, church. Don't make people make you feel guilty, because you don't want to kick it with them all the time. Listen, I don't want to go to Starbucks with you. All you want to do is talk about everybody. This is my time. And when I come to Starbucks, I want to talk about how to raise my credit score. I want to talk about how to get college paid. I want to talk about how to get a doctorate degree. I ain't got time to be talking about love and hip hop. Matter of fact, truth be told, everybody on love and hip hop is broke, crazy, and dysfunctional. I want to talk about heaven and it. Oh, come on here. Look at your neighbor, because you know everybody say they going to heaven. Ain't going. Watch the trajectory. Watch the downward spiral. Watch what happens to Lot. It starts off chilling in the court. And watch what it ends up to. He tells the angels to come to the house. And the angels said, listen, I'm good. I can stay right out here. Meaning, I don't need you to take care of me. I'm the angel of the Lord. Lot brings him into his house. The verses say that all the men and the young children rushed to the house and wanted to sodomize the angels. That's what it says. I'm just telling you the text. Look how low Lot slumped. He said, no, Don't do them. Take my daughters. Okay, y'all. He said, no, don't have them. Take my 2 daughters. Now, wait now. Whoa. Wait a minute. Whoa. Yo, Lot. Lot. What happened to you? How do you go off first walking with Abraham, and now you offer your 2 daughters to be raped by the whole city? What have you been doing spiritually? If somebody look at my daughter, I'll go down fighting for mine. Because when you start off sinning a little bit, Dr. Croft suggests that sin always makes people go downward. He brings to bear this reality of Jonah, who just started off going in the wrong direction. But by the time we get to Jonah 2, he's in the bottom of the ocean, in the belly of the whale. Because sometimes little stuff can turn into big catastrophe. Amen. Amen. And we start off becoming compromised by our carnality. But point number 2, but then we get conquered by our carnality. And the thing you used to control ends up now controlling you. Y'all looking at me strange. Y'all looking at me all side-eye. But have you ever done some stuff and you looked at yourself while you was doing it and said, what has gotten into you? And what happens is the longer you stay away from God, the crazier you become. And it's funny how people can stay away from God and still come to church every Sunday. Your church attendance is not a statement that suggests you're growing. Because sometimes you can get worse while you're sitting in the pews. No, I'm not going to just talk about y'all. I'm going to talk about the preaching fraternity. Sometimes preachers get worse standing behind this sacred desk. Because sometimes preachers forget the thing we preach. We got to live, y'all. Sometimes you could get worse singing. Because sometimes we can forget that which we sing. We got to believe. And sometimes we rest on our church membership and our church title. But God says, people that call me Lord, Lord, don't necessarily mean I'm their Lord, because we can tell how you believe by how you act. And I can tell how you act not between 11 and 1. I can be a good Christian between 10 to 11 and 1. But I want to know what you doing Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Oh, y'all gonna get quiet on me. Look at your neighbor and say, this is the year you become what you believe. Okay, what was that movie? That Tyler Perry movie. Oh, he's so many of them. Temptation, that's what it was. Y'all see Temptation? Y'all see that? And y'all remember how the girl started all countrified, Bamified. Y'all remember that? She was all spiritual and prayed with her mama every morning on the phone. Y'all remember that? And then she met that dude. Y'all remember him? The little crazy dude. Y'all remember that? And then she first started off resisting him. You remember? No, I ain't doing this with you. And then remember, her husband forgot her birthday. Y'all remember that, don't you? Oh, y'all don't like y'all. Well, then I'm going to tell you till you remember. Then all of a sudden, the one boy she said no to took him on that plane ride. Remember that? I said his own plane. I said he took her on his own plane. That's how come it's some blessings I don't want to walk into. Because I don't know what I'd do if okay, I better leave that alone. Are you with me here? Ebony, don't you mess with nobody's own plane. I'm gonna wait, you understand? You get in my car. You understand what I'm saying? We will fly spirit and like it. You better calm down. Then all of a sudden, they went on a little date. You remember? Then the same person that didn't like him ended up getting turned out by him. Don't you remember? And then the same person that could fight against him couldn't live without him. And if you recall, she ends up in a club with women and men with the disease AIDS. Remember? All because she didn't stop it when it was small. And I'm telling you, there's some stuff you can't play with. That the moment God gets you out of it, you can't go back to it. Because the fact that he gave you the grace to get out of it, I ain't going back. Because if I go back another time, that might be the time it. But what I love about God is he'll give you care while you're in the compromise. Yes, he will. 2019. No, verse number 10, I'm sorry. But the men inside reached out their hands, brought Lot in the house, and struck all the men with blindness. When Lot couldn't save himself, the angels came outside, snatched him in, and gave blindness to all the perpetrators, so that those who were blind couldn't see him. And sometimes, Alpha, before God delivers us out, he has a way to keep us while we're in it. Oh, I feel good. Y'all see, y'all getting real self-righteous. But I'm glad that we serve a God that before we was ready to let it go, he kept us while we had it in our possession. And what God does is God says in Jude that I am the God that can keep you from falling. That means when you don't want to be kept, I'm the God that will keep you. Is there anybody here that can testify that some of us made it out not because we wanted to at the time, but God had a way to force our hand and snatch us out of people's lives? You didn't leave him. He got locked up. But now that he's gone, you're thankful, because now that he's gone or she's gone, you can see you can make it on your own. I feel good right now. Look at your neighbor, say, neighbor, God was keeping me before I even knew him. That's how come some of you ought to give God praise that you are where you are, because you could have been dead, but God was driving the car, and that's the only reason you survived the accident, because it was for the grace of God. Somebody say, he's a keeper. I said, he's a keeper. No, say it again. He's a keeper. And that's why, Alpha, we ought to be thankful that during the transition, we had people that was able to keep us alive, to keep the doors open. How can I make this thing plain? I love my mom and dad. The reason why I love him, because I thought we had money when we ain't have none. I didn't know I was broke till I got up and started having to pay my own bills. because my mom and dad had a way to make me think everything was all right. I didn't know that they was robbing Peter to pay Paul, to keep the lights on, to keep the doors open. Is there anybody here that's thankful that you had parents that kept you going, paying tuition, paying book bills? You thought it was easy, but when you grew up, you realized how hard, how challenging. I dare to give God praise for the sacrifice that people have made to keep the Alpha Worship Center open. Stop complaining and start praising and say, blessed be the name of the Lord. Let the redeemed of the Lord. I'm done. I'm done. But not only does he care for you in your compromise, but he carries you out of the compromise. Watch what he says to him. He says, come on. It's time for me to take you by the hand. Woo! And the Bible says that Lot was hesitant. Because sometimes you'd rather stay in a bad place. Because sometimes being in a bad place is familiar. And you become addicted to problems. Some of you have been in such bad situation that when you get a good person, you don't like them because you say they corny. Ain't that the craziest thing you ever heard? I just don't like him. Why? I don't know. It's just something. Oh, you want him to bust you upside your head. You ain't happy unless he rolling you down the street. The devil is a lie. Are y'all hearing what I'm saying? Don't be so used to drama that now when there's no drama, you make drama. Don't be so used to gossip that when it ain't done, you got to create something. Sometimes the fear of tragic circumstances or when churches go through conflict is they still fighting when ain't nothing to fight over.
Come on, sir. Come on. Come on.
And sometimes because you had the truth, all you know is truth. And so you have a subconscious that's not happy unless there's some mess going on. That's why you call and say, what happened today? And then they say, oh, nothing. You say, oh, let me call you back.
Right there.
Now y'all need to stop lying, because some of y'all got them calls this year by people who left. And they was calling not to find out what I was preaching. They was calling to see was the preacher still there. Okay, let me throw myself on the table. See, I'm just as crazy as they are, because I call Bishop. I say, Bishop. I say, how's everything going? And Darlene, here's what I want him to say. Chad, it just ain't the same since you left. This is what he say. Oh, we doing good. I said, all right, let me call you back, Bishop. That's true. Because all of us like the mess. That's why okay. Why you think The Young and the Restless is still on? All of the actors have left, but they keep Victor Newman because he crazy. And we don't even like it when Victor gets straight or try to get himself together. We like, man, come on, start doing some crazy stuff. That's the truth, y'all. I is not lying. Because Rat said, I don't know. We'll catch you up on Young and Restless, Rat. You work hard. And so our life becomes, especially in the African American tradition, because we have trooped So much so, we hear bad news and, you know, oh, such and such got like, oh, okay, just tell them I get there 2 weeks from now. Like, what? Oh, I got to go to the funeral on Monday, go put some money in the books on Tuesday, work. We just used to it. Part of my professor's concern, he says, Chad, my concern is how come African Americans aren't shocked anymore when they die? He said, you guys have lost the shock value. So when you hear, oh man, so 20 people died in Chicago on Christmas, it's like, oh, okay. Because we're so accustomed to it that we don't have righteous indignation when we should. And God says, if I don't arrest your own personal dysfunction, you only act out corporately what you act out individually. And so what I have to do and what you have to do is I've got to grab you, carry you out, and put you in new places. And I don't know about you, but I'm glad about that. I'm glad we serve a God that didn't wait on us to walk out. Amen. But I'm glad we served a God that picked us up and carried us out. And it's almost what the scripture says in Psalms, like a bird, we escape the snare. Is there anybody, when you look back over your life, you can see what you escaped? Go ahead. Hey. Maybe y'all didn't hear that. Have you ever looked back over your life and saw the catastrophes that happened to other people, and you look back over your life and realize that God saved you in a nick of time, and if God would have waited a day later or a month later, you'd be sitting in the prison, be dead or be crazy. But I'm glad we serve a God that knows not how to deliver us, but when to deliver us. Look at your neighbor, just do me a favor, say he saved you right on time, because if he'd have waited another year, he'd have waited another 5 months. I'm so glad that he brought me to Alpha at the right time. And that's why God knows what he's doing, when he's doing it, and how he's doing it. But Lot's wife got delivered, but she started lusting over what she got delivered from. She made a tragic mistake because the angels told them, when you get out of this, I don't want you to look back, but I want you to look forward. Lot's wife had the cravings of what was yesterday. But I don't know about you, church, but I've been through too much to turn around now. Is there anybody here that thank God you crossed over to a new year? Is there anybody here that's thankful that you made it over and God made a way? And since God made a way, you ain't got no time to look back. You ain't got no time for your past. Look at your neighbor, say, neighbor, oh, I feel churchy now. It's time to move forward. You've been living in your past way too long. Can I give you this analogy and then I'm done? I was watching the Animal Channel, minding my business, and the Animal Channel came on and they were talking about whales, and they said whales can only swim forward. I said whales can only swim forward because if they swim backwards they die. I said, why do whales die if they swim backwards? Because when they swim backwards they destroy where the oxygen comes in, and so they can't afford to go backwards, because once they go backwards they cut off their lifeline. Bye-bye, Alpha, you missed it. I can't preach no better than that, but I come to tell you, if you move backwards you're going to cut off your oxygen, you're going to cut off your life source, and you're going to cut off your praise. But if you move forward, you'll keep your oxygen moving. Is there anybody here that's going to move forward, that's going to step out? Do me a favor, Give God a praise like he's moving. Oh, y'all not going to help me. Do me a favor. Just take a step like you're moving on up like the Jeffersons. I wish I had a church that felt like moving. The steps of a good man are ordered. Do me a favor. Just take one more step like you're moving forward and say, I'm going places. Do me a favor. This ain't for everybody, but there's some of us that been through hell, bro, that been through high water, Chardonnay, and you tired of hanging around folk that ain't flying nowhere. So do me another favor. Take another step and say, forgetting those things which are behind me, take another step. I'm pressing on the upward way, higher heights. Do me a favor. There's some of you that's tired of surviving and you want to go to another level. Do me a favor. One more step. A step for the Father because he's the progenitor. A step for the Son because he's the Christos, the Christological one. But one more step because there's power in the Holy Ghost. Power to live right. Power to act right. Power to do right. Let the redeemed of the Lord say so. Won't he do it? Can he do it? Say yeah. Say yeah. Say yeah. Go hug 3 people and say you going places. You going places. That's why you didn't die, because you going places. That's why you still here, because you going places. That's why you came back to church, because you going places. Many are the afflictions of the righteous, but the Lord, yes, the Lord, yes, the Lord.